So they'll be calling you a radical, never caught a paper fish. So big news on the big Z out there. So Gross, head of the IAEA, who I talked to when he got nominated in Vienna, came out today, said it's beyond dire. 7th time the power lines have been knocked out. And he actually talked about the spent fuel, and the reactors are all in complete shutdown, but the power lines going to have been out since March 9th. So why do they have to have power? I thought they made power, all these nuclear energy lies. Tell me lies. Tell me sweet little nuclear lies. They have to keep the spent fuel pools heated and or cool. And if they lose coolant, it's everything a bit meltdown. He says this is the 7th time the power's knocked out. I'm the guy that named it the Big Z. So, gotta vote that left, Jerry. So, running on diesel fuel, yeah, clean, green, too cheap. So the big news is in the EU. So the EU taxonomy, they're in Belgium right now, and they're saying, we're not funding any nuclear energy. And I'll quote what he said. You know, he just went off. He called it out bullet by bullet. It's not fast. It takes 10 years to build it. Surely not clean. It's not cheap. What about all these major disasters? It's not safe. He just rips it apart, which that's what it is. It's the biggest lie in history. So never caught a paper fish. This is important for our crowd up there in Oregon, Washington. So you remember him? He was the greatest in there. Timmy used to interview and talk to him. He was our friend up there, the old timer. It's his line. Never caught a paper fish. He'd say never caught it. Talking about the projection. So Oregon, Washington over-project every single year. We've proven this. We've well documented this. You know, they project these. Remember on the road when that writer was out there saying there was going to be 600,000? 600,000, and they got 258. I mean, whoops, not 258,000, 258. There's 8 right now in the Columbia. So Washington, you know, Oregon's emergency closed. California's all emergency closed. Alaska emergency closed the Chinook on the Cook Inlet. I mean, it's catastrophe, and we had record numbers. Never forget this. We had record numbers. 2008, 9, 10, 11, until this still has started to collapse on cue after Fukushima. But, hello, everybody's arguing with the record numbers 2011, 2012, 2013, 14 on the Chinook. That avalanche are full of shit. Big old beasts. I'm like, no, they'll collapse in 2016. It's a smoking gun. They go to sea on average of 5 years. Oh, they collapse. So Washington's come out with the native tribes and says, here, because they legally could take out half of what. But they overinflate these projections. So I'll post it. They put out this insane projection. They don't even meet half. And the natives can legally take out half. So when they don't meet half and legally we can do math, they take them all out. Never caught a paper fish. So he sent us that incredible video when he lives up in the woods. Up, you know, he goes down to Gold Beach, but he lives in the woods up there, way up there on the Rogue Valley, and the fires were just raging through there. And he sent me a video. He sent Tim and I a video on his phone, and they're surrounding him, and he's right there. I'm like, oh God, no. I posted it. We've never heard from him since, sadly. You know. I don't talk enough about these fires. You know, I kept saying we're going to get this spontaneous combustion. When it first happened in Paradise all over through there, you know, 13, I'm predicting this. I look back at some of my videos. I'm calling this out clear back in 2013, 2014, you know, which I called the Plutonium fires. It's a gas. It's a vapor. So I'm like, it was first reported that they thought it was a group of arsonists working thousands of miles of work, you know, starting these fires spontaneously, because they all started at the same time. And then they started to realize, and there's a little documentary out on Paradise. Patrick McCormick was living in Paradise at the time, remember? You know, and so it's so, he keeps calling it out. He says, I kept going home to tell my wife, the fire chief, this is unprecedented, never happened before. She says, you got to quit saying that, because, so they all started at once. I mean, it's a vapor, it's a gas. When the atmosphere can actually catch fire off a power line arc, off a railroad arc, of anything, and they all catch fire at the same time over thousands of miles, and it happened all over the western United States. You know, Trump says got to go rake up the what? You know, that's why I used to say up in Idaho, you need to rake up the forest in Idaho. Northern Idaho burned probably more than California. When we have a heat bubble so intense, so radical, unprecedented, never happened when 12 to 15% of every square inch of real estate in the western United States physically burned. It's unbelievable how this played out, this 10-year window, this, well, the Great Coincidence era. So the Big Z, I'm the guy that named it the Big Z. You know, it's a ticking time bomb. But I can prove they all act like they don't know as the cancer slowly grows. So the media all covers up. Feel good fairy tale. Won't mention Fukushima. Won't talk about Fukushima. Channel 13 Utah hasn't said Fukushima in 4,400 days. They come out last week on the news. Says radioactive rye from Fukushima being made into plastic. Yay! Yeah, you think about that. How obscene. Talk about March Madness. So, go Princeton Tigers. We love the Cinderellas. Even though they're a bunch of elite kids. We'll take any Cinderella. But I believe it was... How many years ago today? Good Lord, is that really 40 years ago today? It is 40. I believe it's 40 years ago today. Jimmy Valvano cut down the Mets in right there. What an upset. They were like an 8 seed. They won the national championship. Thurl Bailey, the great Jimmy Valvano. How come we don't have games here no more? Greed. It's not big enough. You know? So, USA Today, a year ago, when the Russians invaded the reactor at the Big Z, headline, USA Today, biggest nuclear energy reactors in Europe could become Fukushima-style disaster. Y'all like the greatest cover-up? And who's to blame on this? Nobody was able to take cover because they set up and lied. The media, that's who. Vloggers, bloggers, everybody took it on, you know, and then dropped it. So, the Big Z. I was just thinking, I got sick in 2016 again on my heart of the day. I asked Trump from here to there about Fukushima. I asked Bernie Sanders that day. That's the day. Whoa. Weber State was in the tournament against Xavier. God, has that really been 7 years? Whoa. You know, and then my heart started going. I had everybody short in Chicago, Bridge and Iron. Everything was going. You know, we had some momentum in the anti-nuclear movement. And then, of course, 2017, my heart failed. Had open heart surgery, and I'm thinking it's just been a nasty. My YouTube site just went under attack hardcore in 2017. It's brutally. It's been an ugly, ugly 6 years. You know, the sequestering of the, I mean, just all of it. Brutality on both sides. I mean, and we lost our momentum. COVID. I feel like it's coming back. I was just at this sustainability summit here at Weber State, and they always had the greenwashers here. They promoted greenwashers like no other. New scales. There's no greenwashers over there today. I was like, you know, the good activists are over there today. The good groups. Brian's team, Clean Air of Utah. You know, remember all that momentum we had with Hill of Utah? What happened? Well, Matt and I both threatened him. Matt was the shit. He was the greatest. You know, it was an anti-nuclear movement, anti-nuclear energy solutions. I mean, so much good work going on, but I got sick. You know, and I never felt like that valve was replaced properly, and I got really sick. I was down to 138 pounds, kept telling them it's failing. I'm back to 152. I can't believe it, you know. My body was just ravished. But I look back, they got control of the internet, you know, the nuclear energy propagandists, the whole thing. They got the upper advantage and just squashed any reality and the truth. You know, but I really feel like there's a comeback. The radio station, KWCR, you know, they squashed me and Manny, rent us out, you know, blah, blah, and it's just been nothingness. They got stuff happening over there. I really feel like there's the first rubbing sticks of, you know, the real truth activism, the anti-nuclear energy movement, the you know, oligarchy movement, you know, they've just squashed it and all the radio goo-goo gaga. They should be ashamed of themselves, all the vloggers and the YouTube. Everybody that took on Fukushima and then dropped it when their orange, whatever he was, became Lord and said. I mean, it's outrageous. You know, and then they run away and just war profiteered off my back. I think back on my Tide Pool. Those guys got rich off my Tide Pool, posting them on their websites, whatever. They never sent me 5 fucking cents. Everybody says, well, how come you don't use your heavy language like you do anymore? I got tired of the 60, 70-year-old overgrown crybabies crying to me about it. So, you know, I was at Pro Day right there yesterday. I was there. I have lots of good videos. The great Josh Davis, the great T-Mac. Ty McPherson looks so good. Of course, Dez over there put up 21 on the bar. Of course, I remember when Opeta put up freaking the all-time combine record, the Pro Day record, 35. They still didn't draft him. What about Rashid? Still never drafted him. What about Jerry Harding? You know, it's all Lillard. Please. So, you know, it's been a hell of a freaking 6 years, but I actually feel like I'm making a comeback. You know, I want to get to California, do Tide Pools ASAP, you know. I really feel strong enough. I'm up back to 152. I was at 138. I'm making a comeback. I feel like it, you know. Clear back from that day, the Bernie Sanders rally, the Trump rally. I tried to get to them both. You know, I was on Fox News asking Trump about, you gonna talk about Fukushima get elected? Did he? No. Again, Obama, Trump, sliding with Biden, they're triplets. You know, it's the tail wagging the dog, as I say. The nuclear tail, the pork is flowed out so crazy to banksters, to dairy farmers, to the nuclear energy crime syndicate, that they're actually become the government. We're just talking about Cox. Cox is the worst governor in the history of the state of Utah, bar none. He's signed a deal to put nuclear reactors in Kemmerer, Wyoming, with Bill Gates, who stole the operating system here. The most despised human being in the history of the state of Utah was Bill Gates. He stole the word perfect Nobel here. He never invented anything. Yet he signs a deal. He gets caught bringing in nuclear waste into southern Utah. He's in new scale. I mean, what is with this dude? You know? But, you know, I'll get back at doing my activism in these politicians' faces. We haven't been able to. I've been sick and COVID, the whole thing. These guys went underground, used COVID, you know, to hide. Everything online. You know, I've been the keynote speaker on lots of stuff online. You can look it up. Send it out for you, all of it. Even the hearings, I'm still there. I'm still doing it virtually. You know, I get no credit. I get no credit for this historic, incredible work. Where's the crowd? They're on top of the event. How beautiful is the DEE today? I wasn't going to do a video until I drove by here because I just went and ate. And I'm coming back here and I just drive up here by here. Pro Day was awesome yesterday. I loved it. McPherson looks so good. My favorite player in the history of Weber State football is Rashid Shaheed and Josh Davis. Josh Davis is a beast. So one thing to the NFL, don't blow it like you did on Rashid Shaheed. He's all that. And they said, well, he had nagging injuries. So did Rashid. You know, come on, man. You know, give Weber State some respect, man. You know, it's not just some 80-year-old woman with a TikTok account calling people her loving grandchildren. And I know her, and I'm more power to her. But come on. 40 years ago today. I believe it was 40 years ago today. Jimmy Valvano cut down the net. I saw Jason Kidd's last game there when the Cheeseheads knocked him off. Somebody says, well, how come you, the Minnesota thing? I was on the Minnesota thing before anybody. I always am. You know, you show up late and then you haven't been watching me because you've been over running, you know, sending money to, you know, Alex and Rance and all these propagandists who don't do shit, sit around and, you know, use my work to get rich, never sent me five. It's outrageous. I look back on it. It's outrageous. You know, what the YouTubers, all we hear is radio goo-goo. Right? I'm an activist. I do the work. I'm there. Always have my whole life. And I'm going to get back out of ASP. I feel strong. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm going to bolt out of rehab the next few days, you know, and I'm ready. I'm going to start tide pulling, doing my thing. You know, talking to politicians, whatever, and, you know, it's time. It's time we get this back on, you know, rolling, you know, and I fight for her. She fights for me. It's the ecology, stupid. So stay tuned.